This has certainly been one interesting year. Since Barack Obama was inaugurated, he had faced a whole lot of criticism from the conservatives in the media, from Fox News, talk radio, the internet blogs, and word of mouth. Many people were criticizing President Obama over his race, his nationality, possibly his sexuality, and criticizing his family from the First Lady down to his children. He faced monumental criticism, monumental death threats, and opposition from not only his own party, but from the Republicans who were constantly saying no to the policies that would move our country forward. He had passed healthcare reform, banking reform, this controversial tax cuts for the wealthy, and of course the repeal of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, which discriminates against gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and transgendered who are serving in our military. This has been one interesting year for President Barack Obama. Now that the Republicans have the House of Representatives and many state and territorial governorships, the president has to now work with the Republicans. And despite some of his liberal critics, the president has to move to the middle in order to solve these problems now, because during his time he tried to reach out to the Republicans. Unfortunately, the Republicans' opposition was too great. With a powerful force of talk radio, Fox, and the internet blogs, as well as word of mouth, many people are frustrated with President Obama over the economy. Not the birth certificates, not the so-called socialism, not the handouts and all this other stuff that you hear from some of the most extreme comments of the conservatives, but yet also the comments from the liberals who call him a fascist, a sellout, a traitor to their cause. President Obama was elected, 53% of the American public voted him in. He's having trouble trying to reach out to independents. Independents make up half of what President Obama's capital is. He still has a strong Democratic base. Over 75% of the Democratic Party supports the president. Only but 5% of the Republican Party supports the president. Independents only make up about a fraction of what President Obama's job approval is. Right now, he's hovering in the mid-40s. That's not good for a first-term president. However, with the lineup of 2012 contenders in the Republican Party, from Sarah Palin, Mike Huckabee, Mitt Romney, to even John Bolton, the former UN ambassador, it might be more easier for President Obama to let them fall on their own sword than him just opening up his mouth and saying anything too smart for the public. My thing here with the President and Vice President Biden, they're too smart for people. Unfortunately, with this healthcare reform being passed, federal judges across the country who were appointed by George W. Bush are trying to repeal this. One in Virginia said this was unconstitutional, and he wants to strip out the mandate where most Americans must have insurance by 2014. Just like having driver's insurance. Most people can't drive without driver's insurance because it might be a liability for those who are driving without insurance and they cause an accident. That will be explained later on my other profile. But the point of this matter is that the Republican Party has been a strict opposition. Despite all their victories and gains, they are so frustrated with one another because the moderates are being kicked out. Michael Steele, the first black chairman of the Republican National Committee, they're trying to force him out. He wants to run for another term. Jim DeMint has been one opposition towards most of the mainstream Republicans who, like my congressman, the incoming House Speaker John Boehner, Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader, Michelle Bachmann, another member of the Republican Party who wants to establish a Tea Party caucus, and then the newcomers like Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky, or Alan West, the congressman from Florida. They're fighting between one another on who's conservative or who's not conservative. With the recent victory of Lisa Murkowski of Alaska against Joe Miller, the Tea Party Republican candidate, the Republicans are soul searching for which direction should they go. Should they oppose President Obama or work with the president to moderate his policies? See, Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader, wants to make sure that President Obama is a one-term president. Limbaugh, Beck, Hannity, O'Reilly, and many other conservatives from the Drudge Report all the way down to Malkin, their opposition is so great right now. You get a lot of these conservatives who support them who pounce on my comments. Every time I speak of their names, they're going to pounce on it. But the thing here that this year alone has been very interesting. From the Tea Party movement all the way to the election, we see that this growing force of anger from the conservatives and the Republicans has been shown out in the polls. The Democratic governor of the state, Ted Strickland, was defeated by Congressman former Fox News talk show host John Kasich. He will now take the lead of this state, which means with the state and this census, he can decide on which direction should the Democrats have control of a district when it comes to the redrawing of the areas. Now, my minority leader, now Speaker of the House, John Boehner, he's been criticized for crying. Sure enough, he's an emotional guy. And yes, that will be something I will take a shot at him for in the coming videos. But, you know, as I am proud to say that we have the first in our time to have an Ohio congressman who's now the Speaker of the House. There's been plenty of them, but John Boehner will probably be one of the most modern day, and it'll be the first because he represents my district. Now, in 2011, we're going to continue to talk about the same thing that I normally talk about. We're going to talk about issues that face my community, the government, and of course the corrupt mainstream media. We're going to also take on not only the conservatives who continuously smear the president with these misinformation, this lies and smears of his policies, but also the liberals who are so impatient with the policies that President Obama is trying to pass. It's like they're not satisfied with what he's doing. He's got a conservative Democratic base. They're not going to support him. Lieberman, the senator from Connecticut, Nelson from Nebraska, now the newcomer Senator Manchin from West Virginia, they're going to be continuously opposition to the president's policies, if not switch to become Republicans. With that being said, you know, President Obama's got a challenge. My congressman, my two senators, the soon-to-be Rob Portman and Senator Sherrod Brown, they're going to try their best to help with this economy. Ohio's lost a lot of jobs. Unemployment's still hovering between 9% to 10%. And many Americans across this country are more concerned about jobs and this economy. Their economy is improving, but you know, as they say, things happen for a reason, and people are impatient. So as I continue to 2011 talking about the same thing over and over again, I will be more open-minded, more critical of the Republicans as well as the Democratic Party. So for those who have supported me, from the subscribers who just added me, to the friends that I just added, to the thousands and thousands of people who supported my videos, it'll never stop. Even though I might not do it as much, we're still going to keep it rolling. So I will see you next year, and I hope the best for all those. Happy holidays.